What's going on, everybody? And today I'm talking about a Darth Vader deck that I kind of built. It's a red-green, which would be Vader is the leader, and any green base that's 30 health. The emergency conversion lab is not really worth it. The whole point of the deck is to be more aggressive and deal more damage. The idea is to run 2 Vaders on top of the Vader leader. The one you're looking at is the convention version. This is the closest first one I saw, so I just added it in. So you want 2 of those, just so you could, get those 3 costs out. You got Palpatine running one of those, so that way you have the 6 damage to just toss out to other stuff to make things weaker. Then you got the Phase 3 troopers, which will pair well with the Vader. Then you got the laser tech for faster resources. You got 1 Maul. Don't really have a lot of, I don't think I have a lot of Underworld stuff in here, but it's just, really strong 7-drop, ambush, overwhelm. If we manage to get a Underworld unit, toss the damage over to him. 2 Crosshairs. The reason why Crosshair specifically is his 2 abilities. One being he can increase his own power by 1, +1/+0 for the face for 2, and then you can tap him to deal damage to a ground unit, which is still really strong at 4. He's a 4-drop for a 2/6. That's pretty big, personally. So, 1 Palpatine's return, just to make units cheaper, get back a Vader or a Maul or Phase 3 Trooper. I doubt you'll use it for a Phase 3 Trooper, but you can. Assault Cruiser, just in case you get some air units you want to take care of and turn those into resources, increasing your playout. I don't know how to say his name. Carsantin. He is an Underworld, so you can bounce the damage to him, which is good. And when played, if an enemy unit has a bounty, you may ready this unit. Pretty good. On attack, choose a ground unit. You may deal 1 damage to each. For each damage on this unit. Really good ability. I figured 1 of those just because he's a 5 cost. 3 of the Given to Your Anger. Really good, like a aggressive card for. I feel for like the more aggressive decks, especially like Sabine or Boba's, because you deal 1 damage to it, and then they have to attack with it that phase. That's the only option you give them, and they have to attack a unit, which will more than likely be, your Phase 3 troopers or one of your stronger units if that's when they're out. I figured 3 of those would be pretty good. Ruthless for another really good upgrade for 1. Attach unit gains when this unit attacks and defeats a unit, deal 2 damage to defender's base. I figured that would be really good, especially for, Vaders or Mauls, especially with Overrun. Get an extra damage in. Phase troopers to make them a little bit stronger. It just pairs really well with a lot of units. I saw this and I thought this one was really good. Koska Revs? I'm pretty bad with names. But I thought this unit was really good. She would cost a 6, which is not bad. But her on attack ability, which is you may deal 2 damage to a unit if this is upgraded, pairs really well with a lot of the upgrades, especially with Ruthless. Attack, deal 2 damage, then deal the additional damage for Ruthless to deal 2 more damage to the base, and it's a 4/5, which is really strong. Wild Rancor would be 8, but it deals 2 damage to everything on the field, all the ground units. It is double red, so it's kind of iffy. But I think it's still a really good card just to do 2 damage to everything. House Cast Soldier with the Saboteur ability, 2 for 2/3. But again, you got all the equipment. You could sneak in all that extra damage. IG-11, one of my, I think, really underrated cards right now. He's a 5 for 6/5. Whenever this unit is captured, defeat him and deal 3 damage to each ground unit instead. Really strong ability. And you may deal, and on attack, you may deal 3 damage to a ground unit. So he, on attack, deals 3 damage by himself. On top of the 6, so he could potentially kill stuff while attacking an enemy base. And if they somehow manage to capture him, there's a lot of capture mechanics. If they capture him, then you just deal 3 damage to everything on the field anyways. Especially with the robot. You got Poe from set. You got the robot from set 1 KS something. I'm trying to remember its name. And then you got Poe right now, and I think these would be pretty good uses. 1 Crate Dragon, just because by the time you hit 9, you wanted to start really forcing your opponent to worry about their base. And 9 for 10/10, really strong with Overwhelm. Ambush would be good on this unit, but again, you want to run bases that have 5. I see bases with 5 more health are always better than the base without the 5 extra health and an ability, because most of the time you're not using that ability. 1 Hotshot DL-44 Blaster, not for the smuggle ability, because you'll be paying a lot more in the end for it. Just because it's a 1-drop, it gives +2. Maybe good, but not as great. A lot of people like this weapon. I think it's okay. My go-to right now for upgrades is the Vambrace Flamethrower. For 3, it gets +1/+1, and attached unit gains on attack. You may deal 3 damage divided as you choose among each ground unit. So imagine giving that to a Phase Trooper, your upgrade, your Vaders, your Mauls, your Crate Dragon, Crate Dragon with the Flamethrower, even the IGs. Giving it to the IG is just really good. In my personal opinion, it's probably really good. Then you got the Emperor's Royal Guards. I like them. 3 for 3/4. If you have an official, it has Sentinel. If you have Palpatine, it gets +0/+1. So that really pairs well with the red Palpatine. So I would say 3 of those. 1 Relentless, just because again it's a 9-drop. 1 is fairly good to just run. 1 Devastator. 3 Overwhelming Barrages, just because Overwhelming Barrages may be one of the best cards for villains. 3 Resupplies, just to increase your output. 2 Seven Sisters, again going back to it. 7 Sisters for 5 for 3/6 with Saboteur, and whenever they deal combat damage to your opponent's base, they deal 3 damage to a ground unit on your opponent's board. Now give the 7 Sister the Vibranium Flamethrower, the pistol, and what else? The Fallen Lightsaber. I mean, you're just doing a bunch of damage on the board, especially to ground units, and it's just, I think this is really, really powerful. And I would really run this deck so far. I think it's pretty good, especially against ground. Like I said, I think this is probably a really great deck for against aggro decks, especially since they like to go with smaller units. And then you got, I would say, 1 Power Failure, just in case, let's say they just bombard your unit with a bunch of bounties, or maybe they're just powering up 1 unit just really, really strong with a bunch of experience that you just don't want to deal with. Maybe they have a bunch of shields, especially with the Rey being a really strong deck right now. This would be kind of useful. I would probably put 2 more on the sideboard, and then Vader's Lightsaber, just because, again, we have access to 3 Vaders. We have our leader, and then we have the 2 that we can play. And when it's attached to Darth Vader, you deal 4 damage to a ground unit. Again, just really good, ground control. That's just my take on all this. Sideboard, I haven't touched. I don't normally do sideboards, but let me know what you would put in the sideboard, and what would be some things you would change. I thought about running this with Palpatine as the leader, but then I really thought about it and figured, you know what? Vader would probably be a better fit. So, yeah. Thanks for watching, and if you're not subscribed, subscribe, and like I said, let me know in the comments down below what you would add, and be safe out there, and I'll see you around.